Welcome to the Global Goals Studio. We begin with the outlook for achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. And we're honored today to have as our guest Norwegian Prime Minister Erna Solberg, co-chair of the United Nations Advocacy Group for the Goals. Welcome to the Global Goals Studio, Prime Minister.
Thank you very much.
Let's start with a big question. Where do we stand on making the goals a reality by 2030? Are we on track or are we off track?
We were moving forward, but in a too slow pace before the COVID-19. And the COVID-19 have given us a couple of severe setbacks. Of course, with so many children out of school, so many girls out of school, with the increasement of what we get reports of is more violence against women, probably more difficult to get the girls back to school and to secure safety of women. We also see that due to the fact that international trade has been so disordered, we also see that the possibilities of more problems with food supply the next years. Already this year, the food supply, the increase of people who are going hungry is increasing the numbers. So COVID-19 is giving us a setback, but I still believe that 2030 agenda is the most important thing that we can work on. And I think there is big possibilities for getting back into achieving this when we are working on building back better. But we have to build back better and greener. We can't go back just as normal.
And Prime Minister, can you talk to us about partnerships? How important are they? And why do they matter when it comes to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals?
Well, I believe that Sustainable Development Goals is about the whole society. So, and as politicians, we of course have, and national leaders, we have a responsibility, and we have a responsibility to cater for the development both in our own country and in other countries. But you know, it's not possible to reach those ambitious goals without having businesses on board, having civil society on board. I mean, that's what the whole SDG 17 is, to say the goal 17 is about creating partnerships and that we are in this together. And I believe especially that businesses is important because they have to look at their core businesses, their supply chains, but they also have to deliver innovative ways of creating jobs, innovating new technologies to make sure that we can distribute both healthcare, but also cut emissions the next years from and make the oceans cleaner. And it's not possible for politicians to do this alone. So we really need forceful partnerships, and we need, especially we need the strong big businesses to understand that they should have surpluses, they should create it for decent work, but they should also use their innovative force on the other SDGs to make sure that we as a world are reaching them.
Prime Minister, you mentioned this earlier around trade and the food supply, but the pandemic has threatened so much of the global economy when you think about trade, foreign direct investment, remittances. These are projected to be down 40% this year, and that has a direct impact on lifting people out of poverty. So how quickly do you think this is going to bounce back? And obviously, what kind of lingering effect will that have on the poverty goals that are built into the SDGs?
Well, I think before the COVID-19, what we saw was that India, China has been delivering on lifting people out of poverty, and they are the largest populated countries in the world. What we have seen is that most of the people living in extreme poverty now lives in Africa, especially Nigeria. So they have to be included in the world economy. And of course, if the world economy is slow, it's much more difficult to include them. But we also have the setbacks. I believe that the world economy will go back into pace again, and there's no way that we will not be creating new jobs, catering for them. But we need new instruments for some of the poorest, those who are lingering and most marginalized groups to enter into the world economy, to enter into business, to create their own jobs or get jobs created. And I think this is challenging because we have lost investment funds during this period. People will be looking at their own countries first for some time, and hopefully the experience of COVID-19 is that we understand that we are so interlinked together that if we don't deliver on the SDGs, it will be a bigger problem also in the economic development in the future.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and we will continue our discussion with Norway's Prime Minister, Erna Solberg, in a moment. This is the Global Goals Studio.
The racial and economic disparities that have long existed in this country have only been widened by the coronavirus and amplified by the most recent acts of injustice. People around the world are coming together with greater urgency to demand action. At Bank of America, we know we all have a role to play to overcome the very real consequences of systemic racism and inequity. This includes individuals, governments, nonprofits, and the private sector. Racial equality and economic opportunity are deeply connected. That's why Bank of America has committed $1 billion over 4 years to address critical gaps in affordable housing, access to healthcare, employment and job skills, and the resources small businesses need to succeed. We can do more, and we need to do more now to further advance racial equality and economic opportunity for all.